All right, Knicks fans, let's talk about something that's been sitting in the back of my mind ever since free agency opened. And honestly, it's got me both relieved and a little on edge at the same time. If you're new here, smash that like button right now before we even get started. And drop a comment telling me if you're feeling good or nervous about this roster heading into next season, because I genuinely want to know where you all stand on this one. So here's the deal. This offseason was supposed to be a nightmare for the front office. We all knew it was coming. You win a championship. You've got guys who want to get paid. And the salary cap doesn't care that you just brought a trophy back to Madison Square Garden. The second apron has been looming over this franchise like a storm cloud for months. And a lot of people, myself included if I'm being honest, brace the front office to start breaking up pieces of this championship puzzle just to stay under the line. And look, that almost happened. We did lose a piece. Mitchell Robinson is gone. He's a Celtic now. 3 years, and he walked right out the door in free agency. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that doesn't sting a little, because Mitchell fought through so many injuries, battled back every single time, and was part of the identity of this team on the defensive end. Seeing him in green instead of blue and orange is going to be strange. And if I'm being real with you, it's a gut punch watching a guy who bled for this franchise sign somewhere else. Comment down below if you're going to miss him as much as I am, because I have a feeling a lot of you are. But here's the part that actually has me breathing a sigh of relief. Outside of losing Mitchell, the front office somehow, someway, managed to keep almost this entire championship roster intact. Think about that for a second. After winning it all, teams usually get gutted. Guys get overpaid elsewhere, role players get poached, and championship cores get broken up piece by piece over just one summer. That is not what happened here. The starting five that hoisted that trophy is still standing. Clarkson is still here. McBride is still here. Alvarado, Shamet Diawara, all still wearing the jersey. That is not something you should take for granted. And if you agree with me, hit that like button, because this front office actually did something right for once, and they deserve some credit for it. Now, how did they replace Mitchell Robinson? They brought in Andre Drummond on a 1-year deal for under $4 million. And listen, I know Drummond isn't the same defensive anchor Mitchell was his prime. But for that price, on a 1-year prove-it deal, that's a smart, low-risk move. It gives this team rebounding, it gives them size, and it doesn't tie up cap space for years to come. If the front office is making moves like this cheap, efficient, low commitment, that tells me they know exactly how tight this cap situation is about to get, and they're trying to buy themselves flexibility instead of locking themselves into more long-term problems. Drop a comment if you think Drummond can actually hold it down in that front court rotation, because I want to hear your honest takes on this one. But here's where my stomach starts turning a little, and this is the real conversation we need to have. Just because the Knicks dodged the second apron this summer does not mean they're out of the woods. Not even close. This is a ticking clock situation, and the next 12 months are going to determine whether this championship window stays wide open or slammed shut. Because of money. Karl Anthony Towns is up for a massive extension this summer. We're talking about a deal that could run 4 years and over $270 million. And Josh Hart, the heartbeat of this roster, the glue guy who does everything winning basketball requires and never complains about his role, he is also eligible for an extension this summer. These are not luxuries. These are two players who were essential to that championship run, and letting either of them walk for nothing next offseason because ownership got cold feet on the tax bill will be an absolute disaster. If you agree that Towns and Hart both need to be locked up this summer, no excuses, smash that like button right now, because this is non-negotiable for me as a fan. And then there's Brunson, our captain, the engine of this entire team. His situation is even more fascinating because he's not extension eligible until next offseason. But when that time comes, he's going to have a decision to make that could shape this franchise for the rest of the decade. He could sign an extension worth around $254 million over 4 years next summer. Or, and this is a wild part, he could bet on himself, wait it out, hit unrestricted free agency in 2028, and cash in on a deal that could be worth over $370 million across 5 years. Now here's why this actually matters to every single one of you watching right now. Jalen Brunson has already shown us who he is. Remember when he took less money to help build this roster in the first place? That sacrifice is a huge reason this team was even good enough to win a championship. He put winning over his own paycheck. That's rare in this league, and it's part of why Knicks fans love this guy so much. But I have to ask a tough question here, and I want you to be honest with me in the comments. Now that he's got a ring, now that he's proven he can lead a team all the way to the top, does he still feel the same way about taking a discount? Or does some part of him look at Brunson's next contract as a chance to finally get paid what he's actually worth after years of putting the team first? I don't think anybody outside that locker room actually knows the answer to that yet. But if Brunson decides he wants full market value, and honestly, who could blame him, that puts even more pressure on this front office to make smart, disciplined decisions with Towns and Hart right now, this summer, before things get even more complicated. This is exactly why I get frustrated watching front offices around this league constantly kick the can down the road. The Knicks avoided disaster this summer, but avoiding disaster is not the same thing as building sustainable success. The real test starts now. Get Towns locked up. Get Hart locked up. Show this roster. Show Brunson. Show this entire fan base that ownership is serious about building a dynasty and not just protecting a balance sheet. So here's my final take, and I want you to tell me if you agree or disagree down in the comments, because this is where the real conversation happens. I think the front office deserves some real credit for surviving this offseason with core mostly intact. But if they fumble the Towns and Hart extensions this summer just to save a few dollars against the second apron, that would be one of the most inexcusable, self-inflicted wounds a championship team could make. We just won it all. This is not the time to get cheap. If you made it this far, you already know what to do. Smash that like button. Drop a comment with your honest thoughts on Brunson's contract situation, on Towns, on Hart, on all of it. And subscribe if you want to stay locked in on every single move this front office makes going into next season. This offseason is far from over, and I'll be right here breaking down every update the second it happens. Let's go Knicks.